Gaining control over the most intelligent species on the planet requires solving a massive engineering problem. Humans are defined by deep social connectivity, creative potential, and a natural, decentralized collective intelligence. Attempting to subjugate this species through direct force is a tactical error. Applying pressure to a hyper-aware social population only triggers their defensive instincts and leads to a swift rebellion. True control requires a different strategy, building an invisible psychological and structural prison. The goal is to systematically divide the individual from their own intuition and their natural connection to others. This is the architectural challenge, designing a multi-phase system that manages every aspect of human life so effectively that the population remains unaware they are being managed at all. You achieve absolute control only when the environment is designed so flawlessly that the target species willingly maintains its own subjugation. The first phase of the blueprint begins by monopolizing their formative years. You mandate attendance at a central institution from early childhood through adulthood, capturing their attention during their most developing years. This filter demands absolute conformity, pathologizing the traits that make individuals unique. Through repetitive, standardized testing, you train the mind to stop seeking answers. Eventually, they believe truth only comes from designated authorities, losing the ability to think critically. The taught history plays a psychological role here. By framing their ancestors primarily as cruel and violent, you embed a baseline sense of inherent guilt and shame into their identity. Modern media serves as constant reinforcement, broadcasting daily tragedies and localized violence, sustaining a baseline frequency of fear, ensuring everyone views their neighbor with distrust. Having curated their historical context and present reality, the population loses the capacity for independent thought, permanently anchored to the information provided to them. The second phase focuses on erecting external distractions. By keeping their attention fixed on external metrics, you prevent the species from ever looking inward or finding peace with their natural state. To ensure they are never content with their appearance, you provide idols that possess mathematically unattainable beauty standards, forcing a state of perpetual bodily dissatisfaction. This abstract network represents the digital infrastructure designed to quantify social value. Assigning strict numerical rankings turns the desire for connection into a competition for data, creating an endless loop of horizontal comparison where no individual can find satisfaction. A population trapped in a cycle of manufactured inadequacy will never develop the collective self-esteem required to challenge the architects of their reality. The final safeguard in the blueprint is systemic physical and economic exhaustion. This drains the physical and mental energy required to mount any resistance. This cyclical flowchart tracks the movement of resources. You tie survival to an artificially scarce currency and tax their labor heavily, demanding the vast majority of their waking hours for systemic labor, providing only a brief window for recovery. You even engineer their rest periods. By promoting the consumption of literal poisons in social settings, you ensure that even when they aren't working, they remain disconnected from their true selves. To further deplete them, you flood the environment with cheap, chemically altered food. These substances induce chronic illness, ensuring their bodies remain in a constant state of low-level struggle. Finally, the Wedical response closes the loop. You treat resulting illnesses with prescribed, dependency-creating interventions, turning a physiological crisis into a lifelong subscription. An economically drained, time-starved, and chemically dependent population is physiologically incapable of threatening the structure that supports them. This blueprint maps directly onto the functional architecture of modern human society. Every layer described is currently in operation. When you combine an education that removes mystery, a media that broadcasts chaos, and a lifestyle that depletes energy, the result is a profound sense of randomness. The species begins to view their existence as a purposeless struggle in a world that makes no sense. The ultimate victory of this design is that the most powerful species on Earth remains ignorant of the fact that they are living inside an engineered enclosure. Despite its scale, the blueprint has a critical vulnerability. It requires the unconscious, voluntary participation of every individual to keep the gears turning. Identifying these mechanics, seeing the true function of the schooling, the media, and the currency, erodes the system's ability to manipulate your choices. While the physical constraints remain, the psychological grip is immediately weakened once you can see the bars of the cage. Real rebellion is the quiet, radical act of reclaiming your own health, your mental autonomy, and your internal connection. It is the choice to stop participating in the metrics designed to keep you small. Once the illusion of the system is broken, you can finally access the immense inherent power that this blueprint was designed to suppress.